heaven forbid, restream, do the switch correctly on its own. Hey, how's everybody doing today? Welcome to the first episode of the Kyber Council. How y'all doing? I got some requests to do kind of a hangout show with you guys and do some interviews and stuff like that. So here we are. How's everybody doing today? Hopefully you're having a good one so far. Don't mind me. I'm just getting stuff set up here. But yeah, just if you have any questions, maybe anything you're kind of wondering lore-wise, you wouldn't mind seeing me try to tackle. Tossing in chat, stuff like that. If you want to talk lightsabers, really anything. It's kind of an open forum at the beginning part here. Let you guys just kind of share a little bit. And then once kind of get all that going, a little bit of a cool thing. I have Roger freaking Christian interview. That's right. Hey, I'm glad that you, how was Zumba? Hopefully it was awesome. I've never tried Zumba. I have a feeling I would definitely pull something. This is coming from a guy that has actually hurt a nerve spinning a lightsaber. That's something I changed the story to when I spoke to my doctor. But yeah, I'm just getting kind of started here in a beautiful Cincinnati, Ohio, in my new place here. If you guys are ever kind of, interested in hanging in my day job, I do card streams every day for the company Hit Seekers. They sell sports cards. I go and stream for them every single day and spout my impeccable wit. And yeah, I sell cards. Sometimes Star Wars cards. Sometimes every now and then we get Star Wars cards. We have a Smuggler's Outpost coming out. It's gonna be awesome. But yeah, it's a great job. I am a very fortunate person to get to do it for a living. So yeah, if you guys ever want to hang out with me at my day job, pop on in. It's on Fanatics. Check out my Instagram. I usually post stuff on there whenever I go live with them. So yeah, that's kind of a little extra thing. If you're ever kind of wondering, like, hey, where Kyber's up to? No one's ever thinking that. But yeah, there's absolutely Star Wars themed ones. There is a set that just came out recently. Well, unfortunately, I had to miss that set. There was Star Wars Galaxy towards the end of the year. Very, very pretty cards. Basically, they're like mini posters, is kind of the best way to put them. All pretty much artwork. You can pull some awesome sketches. Speaking of which, one of these amazing sketch artists, I'll actually have him on next month's show, named Ryan Finley. So kind of a little foreshadowing there. But yeah, they're amazing sketch cards. You can get crazy autos. But here's the coolness of Star Wars sketch cards. So this right here, this is by a dude named Neil Camria. And if you're wondering why those cutouts, I'm going to get this autographed. So I actually just did it so it get protected, but then the spots are open for where I want it autographed at. And speaking of Ryan Finley, heck yeah, the man, the myth, the legend himself. But there's another one right there. Ryan Finley. And then this one, honestly, I'll probably be buried with this. He drew me this one here. This is actual commission. This one is getting signed by Hayden and Ewan one day. Hayden in March, if I could swing it. So yeah, And yes, we are so excited for him. The man is Star Wars royalty, guys. I feel fortunate enough to even say I can have a casual conversation with the man himself. He has built the Millennium Falcon interior. He created R2D2 and C3PO's costumes. And most importantly, the man created these. So he's got an Oscar. I know an Oscar winner. Brag. I know. Ooh, Arya. I think he hits 2 different places in March. It's weird that Muff stopped by and not Raph, but I'm prepared for Muff tonight. But yeah, he's going to be in Cleveland. I think mid-March. I asked for it off, so we'll see. So I assume, yeah, he's just hitting it different spots around that time of year. It must be like when he's touring, doing his tour stuff. What are you getting signed? Exactly. Yes. Yes. It's like walking into a place and making sure that you say that you are there to purchase tobacco. Exactly like that. Dude, for real? If you let me know, man, I'm going to go actually see Ryan. Ryan's going to be there. And he told me if I do get that card signed by Hayden, I have to stop by his booth. And if I could possibly mention to Hayden, like, hey, this cool artist dude over here, you should swing by his booth. No, one does not simply prepare. One is thrust upon them. Oh, no, no, no. I appreciate all of you guys very, very much. Muff is a dear old friend, long time dude. We've been ICC con together. We've both been in a mutual conversation with Sebulba. Uh-huh. We've literally been outside while Sebulba was having a smoke break, just chilling with him and talking. Yeah, Ryan's going to be there. I already mentioned to him that I'm probably hitting it up. Um, that's where I bought, like, this one last year was in Cleveland. I bought this one. That's where I met him. Oh yeah, yeah. The British vernacular. Yes. Yeah, that was. So those of you in here, I've said this on other podcasts. I've said it a million times. And one of the craziest stories that's ever occurred. Um, but I'll tell it again since this is the first episode of a new podcast, new audience. I'll go ahead and toss this out to you guys. When me and Muff were in Tennessee for ICC Con, amongst many others, we had Nerd, Star Wars Nerd, Star Wars Sith 66. Ken Collects was there, Jungle Jedi, Pop the Bounty Collector. We were all hanging out, ripping cards together because we also all love cards. And we were just, hanging out. And one of our friends happened to have this box of cards. He acquired this box of cards all the way in, I believe, Hawaii originally. And then he's in the military, and he was then restationed in San Diego. Box of cards went with him, still unopened, has not opened this box of cards yet, and he forgot about them. So then that box of cards then traveled with him to Tennessee because he's like, oh, I found this box of cards. Oh, I'm going to hang out with the dudes. I'm just going to bring the box of cards with me. And so he brought it to Tennessee, and we're all hanging out, ripping cards. And he's like, hey, I got this box of high tech. Should I rip it? I'm like, yeah, sure, man, rip it. So he does, and he's just flipping through. And one of the craziest things was we saw a sketch card, which sketch cards are incredibly rare. They do not come up very often because they are a one of one. It had to be drawn by a human hand, so it's not a reprint thing. So we're like, oh man, this is awesome. You're going to get a sketch card. So he's just sitting there flipping through, like we're getting to the sketch card. Then right before he gets the sketch card, he gets to a Sebulba card. And that's fine. But what was crazy with cards, they add an extra layer of rarity to them and they'll number them. This card was a one of one Sebulba. So it was the only Sebulba in the world like this. It was the only one that exists. To make it crazier, 20 feet from where we're sitting, Lewis McLeod is sitting right over there. Sebulba. Played Sebulba in the prequels. He's actually sitting over there with Watto. And they're just sitting there having a drink together. And we just pulled a one of one of Sebulba 20 feet from him. So then Muff, being the brave soul that he is, immediately stood up and then just wandered over to his table. And we're like, where's he going? And he just, whatever, he's like, feel free to just tell me to F off. But I kind of need you to come over to our table. Something crazy just happened. He explained the whole thing to him. He came over. Sebulba came over to our table. And we explained to him, and he didn't get it. He didn't he said he signed for Topps, because all the Star Wars people do. But he said he never really knew much about the cards. But then we kind of explained to him, this is the only one in the world. And we pulled it serendipitously while you're right over there. And he's just like, the wave of realization hit him. He's like, oh my God. So my friend Optic, who was the one that pulled the card, Sebulba Lewis signed it for him. It was awesome. So he got signed by him. So it's super rare now. And yeah, it was crazy. I got to talk to him the next day because, for one, it was such a cool moment that I'm like, this man deserves my money. I'm going to go buy Sebulba's autograph. I had an of 50 Sebulba in my collection. And I was like, I just brought with me in case I want to get autographed. I was like, he's definitely getting my money. That was too much fun. That was too cool. He deserves it. So I went to his booth and I was like, hey, I'm Eric, Kyber Forged. We met yesterday with the card and everything. And he's like, oh, that's amazing. We started talking and everything. And then Muff came over, Optic came over. Was that all, Muff? Was it just us three? Somebody else come over? I can't remember. My wife was there too, but she had to leave because my daughter was being a little upset. But yeah, we were all just talking, and he looks it up on his phone. He asked ChatGPT all the different circumstances that led to that card being pulled. And he said it was a 1 in 100 trillion shot of that happening. So you have the same odds of that happening as hitting 18 holes in one, flipping heads 50 times in a row, hitting the Powerball then hitting the Mega Millions, and then doing it again the next day. So crazy, crazy moment. Forever will be locked in my memory. Glad that Muff was a part of that. And I absolutely need to meet him as well. He is on my list. Yeah, he's there's a few like I got this one here. I need to get this signed by Ian McDermott because he's getting older. he's one of my Star Wars heroes. I need that auto. But yeah, so yeah, that would be awesome though. If you're seriously going to Cleveland, let me know. That'll be dope. I think we're staying there a night too. I think we're going to go on like Saturday and stay and then go on Sunday too. Because I know if I get Hayden's auto, I'll literally be in line the whole day. I'm not going to get to do anything else. So I need to have a day where I can actually go look around at stuff and enjoy, the convention and see all the cool art. Yeah, he was at ICC Con the year before I went. I saw a lot of the panels, and he seemed like the coolest dude. He literally played sabacc on the stage with a kid. It was really cool. Which, I mean, that's definitely got to be a bucket list item right there. Play sabacc with Lando. Ooh, that'd be dope. No, there's a few. Like, it would take some big names. Because I really want to go to Star Wars Celebration. That's what I really want to do. It's going to be pricey. I can't decide if I want to get any autos because I know they're also going to be very pricey. But it depends how much Billy D is going. There's going to be a few that's just going to be like, I got to decide if I'm going to get this or not. Yeah, and you see too, like Hayden has a whole panel and everything too. Yeah, last year I was just extremely cooked when it came to convention time because I just did the national. I really wanted to go back to Chicago because they had Ewan and Hayden at the same con and they literally had a panel together. God, that would have been cool. But I was just emotionally and physically exhausted from all of the cons I had been to in the recent weeks. They from what I heard, I didn't get to go. Now Muff here, he's been um Rebel ScumCon is one I would highly recommend. It seems just like kind of like, if you want to kind of experience a Star Wars centric convention, um, it seems super dope. I wish I was closer to it. It's all the way in Texas. I'm all the way up in Ohio. It's a quite an expense to travel down there. Although I could jump on the what was it? The Cavalcade of Courage. Yeah, guys. So, anybody got any other questions? Anything else to talk about, or are you guys prepared to see the man himself? All right. I'm gonna get the interview going here, guys. But yeah, we're talking about the um, father lightsaber. He's gonna give us all these amazing details I didn't even know about it that you guys are gonna lose your minds when you hear. But it's such a great time to talk to him. It's such a great listen. Hope you guys enjoy it. Yeah, here is the man himself, Mr. Roger Christian. Thank you guys for joining us here. We have the great Roger Christian here, the designer of many of the most iconic props and locations and character designs of Star Wars, most notably lightsabers. He's been working with Theory Sabers on creating a few. Well, he's already created one of his iconic lightsabers with the Luke, but now he's here with us today to talk about the Darth Vader recreation he did called The Fathers. So, Roger, thank you for coming on, first of all. And second of all, how'd you get working with Theory Sabers?
Hi, welcome. Thank you for having me. Funnily enough, my son, he was 11 then, who's an avid YouTuber, said to me, "You've got to watch this Star Wars Theory. This guy really knows his stuff." So I watched. And funnily enough, the first thing I ever watched, he was sitting in his car in agony. He got I think, a slip retina. He didn't know what it was at the time in the car. He was in agony and talking. "I don't know what's happened." Da, 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 da. I'd had a macular hole in my left eye. I've got a feeling still it was from COVID. I didn't even know I got it, but something had done it, and I had it operated. But I'm a health food nut, and I do a lot of research I know a lot about health. So I immediately emailed him through the chat link and said, "Listen, you've got to take lutein, you've got to take all of these supplements." And he came back and we became friends. So it wasn't through Star Wars, actually. And then he said, "You've got to come on now." So I think we did about an hour and a half interview.
He appreciates you messaging. That does not sound like a fun experience to go through. So,
Oh, it was horrible. I think he had a slip retina, but he didn't know at the
oh,
time what it was, and he couldn't see. It was like this, and I had the same, stuff.
oh, that
So
just, oh.
there are certain vitamins the eye helps to heal much faster. So I gave him all of that.
Yeah, the eyes, that just one of the ones you don't want to get anything in or hurt or, oh.
No, 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 no. You have to look after those. And so then at the end of that, then he said to me, "Listen, he was so kind of, because of the way he is and the care he takes, he was not very enamored with all the lightsabers being brought out for fans. So that's when he decided, I'm going to have to I want to do the best." So that's what he did. They're beautifully made and engineered, the sound, everything. So he said to me, "Listen, can we make your kind of an original of your first one?" And I have carte blanche with Lucasfilm and family, so anything I'm involved in, and they call me the gatekeeper because I'm very careful about what I do with Star Wars.
Mm-hmm.
So I said, "Well, let's do it." And I said I would do everything was made by hand. There was no design or things on that first one. I was just finding stuff and making it work using my instinct. And so when I first found the Graflex and I was playing around with the rubber T-strip that was left over from the blasters, I had a bit left in there. So I thought, if I stick this round, and I'd actually arranged 6 just for myself. And because I did everything by hand, I just started sticking and I realized, I can get 7. So Luke's has 7. So I thought I should do the very, very origin before I showed George and got it approved to where it all came from. So that's why we did it with 6. There was a reason behind that. I did explain that. And so I didn't know. I was quite worried. I thought, wow, no one's going to buy this or anything. They sold out 200 in 3 hours, literally.
That's so quick.
And they were origin sabers. They were numbered, and it was a special edition. So I was like, and I thought, well, this all goes hand in hand now, because I am I'm the only one who knows all these stories. There isn't anyone. John Barry didn't, he passed away on Empire, bless him. But I'm the only one who kind of got to make all this stuff as set decorator. My entire life was building all the props and weapons and robots, everything. And George doesn't know. There is nobody else. So because I'm so, in a way, grateful that what George gave the world, because I think Star Wars has fulfilled something in, especially in America, in people's lives. And I hear this every day, every single event I go to. I don't think anyone has not told me, Star Wars changed my life. And we need heroes and we need stories and we need mythology and legends. And George has provided it to almost to a spiritualist world. He's given, and I'm digressing a bit, but quite frankly, when you look at religions, they preach, and that's not getting through. And when you look at Buddhism, and I studied Buddhism for the last 30, 40 years, they don't preach, they tell stories. And within each story is a link to something personal about your own growth and your own journey. And that's what George did with Star Wars. So I take this very, very seriously. And so I thought, while I'm trying to get funding for my movie again, Black Angel, which is very, very difficult these days to keep a vision that I want, I thought, then I can do what I love, which is start to build up the legacy of Star Wars, because somebody has to do it.
Absolutely, yes.
So that's how this all happened. And then he said, well, can we do something else? So this is really where the story of the father kind of kicks in.
And how did you approach the design of the father? I know the other ones you had drawings, the Ralph McQuarrie drawings to go off of and everything. This was kind of you're out there and you're
There
just going to make a lightsaber.
Actually, there wasn't. When we made Star Wars, the only painting of a lightsaber was actually Darth Vader holding one in his hand.
Oh, really? Yeah.
In a Death Star corridor, and you can see the beginning of the end, but his hand hid everything. That was the only reference I ever had. So, when that first one, I really liked science fiction. I read a lot, and I liked those worlds. So I took everything seriously to me, and so each character that I broke down, which is Luke, and this was his father's, not his. Obi-Wan Kenobi and Darth Vader's, they were the three lightsabers that I had to kind of come up with a look. And I wanted, if I'd have been like most set decorators, I would have just said, oh, here's one and here it works, and that would be it. You get one for all three. It's interesting because one day I'll do this. When I wrote Cinema Alchemist, which is the book of what I did, I wrote 630 pages and the publishers took out 300. But they were all my upbringing and the influences and how I grew up in the 60s and all of the things that came to light and the movies I worked on, which were pretty unusual at the time, and how I learned to think outside the box and how to learn to think a different way to what most art departments had. And it was all to explain. I didn't just go and say, oh, here's a Graflex. I had to use my own kind of instinct to find things, and they weren't just random. They were what would, like a Sterling submachine gun, to me is a science fiction gun. They're beautiful objects. And so I had to, and I, having no money and no time, so I with, Obi-Wan's, as we know now, I made it out of bits of a Rolls-Royce Derwent engine and a bit of a rifle grenade and things. And I wanted it to look like an old Desert Mystics lightsaber. And Luke's, when I found that box of Graphics, I picked it up. I saw a lightsaber. I didn't see a camera part. It just was, I think, beyond anything I could have designed. And I realized that Darth Vader had to be, they were the cold, engineered enemy, you know, of the Force and the Jedi. So eventually we found the MPP, which is the different version of the flash camera. And it was more engineered and it had that black top. And I thought,
Yeah.
okay, this would suit. That first day in the Dominion Leicester Square, when I actually saw the movie all put together with music, when he walks in that corridor through that smoke, I even thought to myself then, you know, he deserves a better lightsaber. And so that was when Nia said, is there any other sabers you'd like to do? And I said, there's a few, but the main one I really would love to have done. And it came to kind of light to me when I was directing Second Unit on Return of the Jedi. And after being there a few days, and I was working non-stop, but I realized that Darth Vader had a cobbled together piece of a Graflex and a few other things. And I questioned it, and they said that all of his lightsabers that we'd made from the first film that went on to Empire had gone missing.
Yeah. The mysterious sabers.
Yeah. So at that stage, if I'd have been the set decorator, I would then have had a budget and would have had time to make, and I would have designed one for him as a replacement proper lightsaber. I couldn't, of course, you know, and I had nothing to do with that. I was directing Second Unit. I couldn't say anything. That to me is lazy, you know. That's not taking consideration of what could be done. And so all of that came into play, and I kind of remember my notes, and then I started, and I have to get a story. I can't just design something. I need a story. And I thought then, you know, this iconic kind of villain coming out of the Bacta tank and appearing, the last thing he would do is go off and try and look for a crystal and make himself a lightsaber. I thought, this doesn't compute. So I thought to myself, in fact, when these Sith lords had passed on, their lightsabers would have been kept. And I think they ended up as a collection with Palpatine. There was a kind of vault where these lightsabers would be. And I think that he would have presented Darth Vader, Anakin, with a lightsaber that came from the past, whereby the crystal would have kind of the crystals had to align with the maker and with the wielder. And I thought then it would have been a red crystal. Somebody would have found this blood red crystal, and there are a few in actually existence, blood crystals. And so I kind of worked out this whole thing, and I thought, wow, what, you know, he made the uniform for Anakin that made him really uncomfortable to keep his anger up, because that's what Palpatine realized, how he would keep him as his servant.
Exactly.
So I kind of made up this whole story whereby when he held the crystal, he put all his mind power onto it, because he was a trained Jedi, and bled the red into the saber handle, which would have left a white light crystal which powered the saber, but the red had gone into the handle. And then I thought, no, maybe I can design a way where every time he holds it, that energy that is going into his hand. So that's how I came up with these flutes of red.
I love that. I always, because that's actually my favorite detail on the lightsaber, is that glowing handle. I had no clue that it was like literally the bleeding of the crystal is like a detail. That's such a cool idea.
Yeah. So then then, of course, so I had to work with the makers who they're just brilliant engineers. It took them like 5 or 6 months. They had to re-engineer the entire electronics to be able to do it and to make it stable, do it properly. And they engineered the lightsaber itself. So I just remember that day when the first sample came, and I just held it and thought, "Oh my goodness!" And it was very kind of moving for me because it's actually the first lightsaber I actually ever designed. And
That's awesome.
I thought this actually would suit Darth Vader. It would look right in his hand. It would match that iconic suit. So, in a way, that's how this came about.
And
Um,
that's the thing too, is you kind of notice with a lot of lightsaber designs, like the saber seems like it's almost designed secondary to like the character design. And this lightsaber just seems to so perfectly fit the character design of Vader too. So when he's holding it, it just all looks right.
it does too, and also I took Ralph McQuarrie's painting, and the two ends they match mine.
All the pommel and yeah,
Yeah,
because I was like, that's such an
those
interesting
shapes.
pommel.
Yeah, they matched Ralph McQuarrie. So I it's kind of became part of canon, if you like. It's part of the history. So I wanted
Yeah,
to keep that true to it. They're just details. That is the way I do things, and I like to do things, and I think is important. And I think nowadays nobody quite understands, but they think, well, you just put scrap aeroplanes in here and you put stuff around there. But it wasn't. Everything was very much considered to create the spaghetti western that George had written about and Ralph McQuarrie had illustrated for us. And I think it's all part of the DNA, that
hmm,
absorbs to an audience when they're watching, because I was very concerned that nothing would ever look like a designed prop. Nothing would ever look out of place in a world that we were creating for George for Star Wars.
it's
It's fantastic for me. I mean, that's why I do all this stuff now because I love this world.
it's an incredible world, and it's just like what you and George's like vision was, is that like dirty sci-fi. Like it, I myself, I'm the same. I've never liked the clean, pristine sci-fi where everything's like pretty white walls and all that. Like I like the busted up spaceships and the leaky like droids and things like that. Like that's it feels lived in. Like that's what really I think makes Star Wars kind of stand out above all the other sci-fi things. Is it feels like it's a place you can actually go to.
Yeah, and I think that it was very groundbreaking at the time, and we were not supported by anybody, even the crew, because they had, I don't know why, science fiction was imagined in those days up until the 70s as being clean, and this was the future, and this is how it could be, and that's probably it was a kind of throwback from the world wars and people what we'd all gone through those times, very poor times.
The
Maybe that was,
Jetsons type
yeah,
feeling.
yeah, and maybe it was a throwback to that. I don't know, but um, I read science fiction, and I never read it like that. I, interestingly enough, there were only two movies I really, really liked. Tarkovsky. He was one of my favorite
Mhm.
directors.
Yeah,
And Solaris had a space station
great
that was all
movie.
dripping water and broken. And I thought, that's interesting. But the one film I thought was Alphaville. I don't know if you've ever seen Alphaville by Jean Luc Godard.
I haven't, but I'll need to.
So he had no money. He took a Bolex, 16 mil Bolex, and he turned Paris into, and it's actually the first graphic novel movie ever. His lead character, Eddie Constantine, was a kind of gunslinger, and he fell in love with Anna Karina. She's an actress, stunning, beautiful. It was Godard's wife. who was kind of robotic, and he was trying to wake her up. And interesting enough, David West Reynolds, you know, who was the head of literature at Lucasfilm for like 12 years, recently told me, he said, you know something interesting? There's one of the very few posters George had up around him was the poster of Alphaville.
Oh, really?
So I think he saw that obviously when he was at UCLA, because he was watching all these movies. And it became a very big influence to me on how to make something very real. I think it probably influenced George when he made THX 1138. There's certain kind of familiarities in what he was doing. But, you know, there's a lot of serendipity, if you like, the Force.
Yeah.
It came
Just
together.
the awesome parallels there. It's great.
Yeah, and I think it weirdly came together in a moment in Mexico when George came down to meet John Barry and myself, and I was doing an old salt factory, making it an old Mexican buildings into a salt factory, and we were doing exactly what George was thinking about but didn't know how to do and if it was possible. So I think, you know, there's some sort of serendipity that all came together.
It really did. I mean, it's one of the most iconic movies of all time. Like, who knows what the world would be if there was no Star Wars? Like, movies would just not be the same. Like, there's so many movies that got their start because they were inspired by Star Wars. So yeah, it literally changed the landscape of Hollywood.
It was extraordinary. When I was making a documentary, Galaxy Built on Hope, you know, I found out James Cameron said, I watched this film, Star Wars, and came out and said, that's it, I'm going to be a film director. Christopher Nolan, Guillermo del Toro, James Gunn, and all of them. You know, and I had no money making my documentary, otherwise I would have interviewed them all. And also COVID at the time, when I was doing the first interviews, I was landlocked in Toronto. I couldn't get out, but at least I got Guillermo del Toro in the documentary, and him and I talking together about, you know, Star Wars and what it means, because he's very erudite. He's very his explanations are very close to the truth of what he says. And then the one movie that I really liked that came out was Rogue One, and so I got Gareth Edwards, and we became friends through before that, but because of this, he gave me a whole series of interviews and thoughts about Star Wars, which I used to kind of break up into chapters, the documentary. But he also understood the language of George and Star Wars and what we were trying to make. So it's a fairly strange, unique talent. This
Lightsaber design is so iconic that it's literally like influenced. Like, you look at like multiple of like modern lightsabers that have been designed, and you'll see little Graflex like details that have just made their way, or even details from Obi-Wan's lightsaber, like just have made their way all through all these years later. Like, one of my favorite side characters, Starkiller, has so many. He looks just like a Graflex lightsaber, just with a crystal exposed. Like,
right.
It's crazy how it's just those. You did such a great job on the design that you can't really fix it. So it's just, they just have to keep bringing that perfect like design throughout history, and it is what a lightsaber is.
Well, it's, you know, I mean, my mentor was Kurosawa. He was the filmmaker I looked at on how to become a filmmaker, and the samurai movies, of course, are the kind of origins of what we're talking about, you know. And I knew a lot. I knew that each samurai had a sword maker, and each sword maker had their own secrets, and they would make each sword. Often they would take the steel that they made them from. It was a katana steel, I think it's called. They would fold it 16 times, heating and folding it till they got it to perfection. And so each samurai sword had a link to the samurai himself, and I wanted that
Mm-hmm.
feeling with the ones that I was making, and I still do now. So we're they've asked me now, can we do some more? So I think the next one, I'm talking with Nia about it. I've designed 2 actual designs, and the other one I was severely disappointed with was Luke in Return of the Jedi, which is the film I was doing second unit directing on, and I'm watching all
Mm-hmm.
this stuff, and of course he had his hand cut off and he lost his lightsaber, so he had to have another one for, arguably in terms of history and emotion, the most important lightsaber battle in the entire Star Wars saga, which is with his father.
Mm-hmm.
And again, he just gave him Obi-Wan's, and they made up this story that he went to Obi-Wan's cave and remade it. But that never rang true to me, and it doesn't to this day. And I think, to me, it's like, you don't have it anymore, sadly, because of the digital world. But the great grandfather would hand the watch to the grandfather, and the grandfather handed the watch down. This was a big thing in the history of the world. It happened everywhere, all cultures. And I just thought to myself, if Luke had gone to get himself a new lightsaber, he would have engineered the father's. It would have had qualities that his father's had, and he could have redesigned it. He could have, now, and I've designed it and I changed it. The red button is difficult to push, so I've moved the red button nearer to where the bubble strip
Nice.
are, and also my T-strip hurt Luke's hand when he was rehearsing, so I thought, we should make those lesser high and make a lot more of them. I've done that, so I think the next one we're doing in spring will be what I think Luke should have when he made his own lightsaber, because this is his. This is not his father's.
And that
So
sounds so cool too. Like just thinking about like not even like just like the physicality of using like it in rehearsal, but also like in like the story of where the button is, like those coming into play of the design. That's such an interesting mindscape to go into. Like this is what Luke would have changed,
yes,
and this is how Luke would have like refined Anakin's lightsaber. Like I love that.
yeah, and I think that's you. It's making these stories. It's like when you're writing characters, you're living the character itself. So you put yourself in Luke's mindset, and I've got, I'm going to release a story at some point of how I think all the Jedi's created their lightsabers, everything. I thought a lot
That would
about
be
that,
amazing.
which would be quite revolutionary and interesting. But
Yeah, that would be amazing.
that's to come. And the second one, we'll see. Unfortunately, when they're designing these really special ones, they're expensive. It's not like near it and Star Wars Theory and Star Wars Sabers, Theory Sabers are charging a lot of money for these. They're not. They're expensive to make. But I wanted to make the very origin of all lightsabers,
Hmm.
which to me I think is probably forged out of ironwood tree. It's a special tree. So I've got one that's got
That'd be so
interesting
cool.
lights to it, and how there's a whole story. So that one, I think we're destined for the fall,
That would be amazing.
which is fantastic. I love doing this. So that's coming. And then one for the 50th, I've got my thoughts on that I'm going to share with Nia this week, and then we'll see what we can do.
That would be incredible too. I hopefully I can make it out for that.
Yeah.
But now something I was wondering too. You've had a chance like over the years to see the other like lightsabers of like different characters. outside of the original trilogy, is there any lightsaber you wish that you could personally like undertake and redesign?
Um, I, it's, well, it's, everyone's asked me, what were you really impressed with when you saw all the new Star Wars and everything, what lightsabers and everything? The one that I was in the cinema went, that's cool, was Ren's, when the
Yeah,
crossbars lit up. And I thought, that's such a great idea because,
very knight-like.
yeah, it's very, very ancient, modern kind of fusing of the medieval Excalibur, everything, and that having established that those light sources wouldn't cross each other, that gives the hand a guardian for the hand. And it looked really spectacular, I thought, that one.
And I
Um,
think they even wrote it too that because of the way it's designed, like in the story, it actually handles like a broadsword, so it's actually really
yeah,
heavy. So it literally is very like broadsword like. It's so cool.
yeah, that one's really good. And of course, Darth Maul's that
That would be amazing to see.
yeah, because I was second unit director on that, and I happened to be filming a lot of the Darth Maul fights. I shot all the stuff in the desert with them, and then a lot of the stuff in Leavesden I got left to do as second unit. So, as soon as I saw this character, I thought, oh my God, here is one of the next iconic characters of Star Wars. Here he is. He's
And he has a show coming up too that everybody is highly anticipating too. He's definitely one of the big ones.
Yeah, there is. And that was in George's original concept for the last three that he wrote out, that
He was
he would
supposed to
become
be
the
the
big
come back
villain.
and become the big bad, basically.
Yeah, and the fans deserve it. They
And I
deserve
think
him.
too, from what I've been kind of reading, it seems like they are taking a lot of George's like original trilogy treatment as inspiration for the Maul series because it seems like he's getting into the dirty crime type stuff and Dark Talon and all that. And so
Yeah,
hopefully we at least get to see it in some form.
I think so. I think this one's going to be a revival for the fans of what everything they love. I'm pretty sure you can see it coming, and even the trailer now is starting to give you hints of this is
Very
going to
hype,
be
yes.
Star Wars. you know, so those are
But
good.
Roger, I appreciate you coming on. I appreciate you sitting down talking with me. It's always a treat, and love getting to hear about this lightsaber. It is one of the coolest lightsabers I've ever seen designed, and even just getting to hear some of your like design stories with it makes it even cooler. So I appreciate it so
Not
much.
at all.
Appreciate you talking with me, man.
Well, thank you for supporting and everything. I watch what you're doing, and it's the forging elements of how these things are made. There is a huge story there that I'm going to release
Mhm.
at some point. So it's
And we would
keeping
love to
me
hear it.
busy, and it's doing
Yeah,
stuff I love.
And everybody definitely check out Roger's Patreon. Some of the coolest behind the scenes stories you're going to hear. It's awesome. Check that out. And do
Thank
you
you.
have like any
Yeah,
appearances or anything coming up that like you want to let people know about?
the next one I know I'm booked for is in Atlanta.
Okay.
There's a big toy fair. It's very exciting for me because I'm going to be Nick Mail is going to be there.
Oh, cool.
That's the first time we've met since Star Wars. So they've
That's really
organised
neat.
a room for us, the two of us, and we're going to interview kind of each other and talk about what we're doing. So that's going to be very exciting. That's in Atlanta. I'll put that out as soon as I know exactly, and I usually put a video out for it. But that's coming up. That's a 2-day event, I think, or 3-day event. That's that one I know about. And this year's kind of quieter because the 50th is coming.
Yeah,
So
everybody's kind of holding back for the 50th.
yeah, so that's going to be interesting. I've got one show here in Kitchener in Canada, which I'll be doing. I'll go, and I've usually done that for them. They're growing. I think it's only the second year they're doing it, so that one I'll do. And there's a lot, and I was asked to write a couple of children's books based like my first
Oh, that's cool.
lightsaber for very young. And those I'm working with a publisher, so that's taking up a lot of time, but they're going to be published this year.
That's so cool.
I'll
have to check it out for my kiddo.
Well, I'm doing two. I'm doing one for like 5 or 6 years old, going back to with mine. I used to read him, and it's ones they can read themselves. And then I thought there has to be like a 2 or 3 year old one, that these cardboard ones they can chew and
Little board books, yeah.
But like the Buddhist stories, underneath there's a keys in there that connect you to the hero's journey,
Oh, that's so cool.
even at that age. So, and they're pretty exciting for me because they're a publisher who work with the Inuit tribes here, and they have amazing artists. So we're getting Inuit artists to illustrate them, because there's a huge link between indigenous Indians and Star Wars. And even look at Princess Leia's head, that came from a Hopi Indian tribe. Her hair.
And even like you talk about in your book with like the designs of the insides of the buildings, like that's just stuff that was there that you guys just left, like just those
Yes.
paintings and stuff in there, like
Yeah, they were there. So you
yeah,
recognize that stuff. Again, I think most art departments said, "Oh, we can't have that," and would have painted it over and put some sci-fi logos in there. But I think it's a matter of recognizing what works, what's great for this world.
it's what makes it great.
Yeah, it's fun.
But Roger, I appreciate it again, man. It's always great to talk to you guys. Check him out on YouTube. Check him out on Patreon. Get out to see him in Atlanta in Canada. It's definitely a treat to meet the guy. So
thank you.
Great having you here.
Thank
Appreciate
you.
talking to you, man.
The reason of Patreon and the YouTube is the publishers don't do anything. With Cinema Alchemist, that's why I have to do it all myself. That's why I go to shows, and I'm trying to get it, because it's a legacy of Star Wars. There should always have been an audiobook, and they just won't bother to do that. And then I thought, if I do an audiobook, but really so many people ask me to tell the stories myself. So then it was suggested, this team, why don't we just do you onto a Patreon site and let you tell the stories? And at some point, I'll just read bit from the book and then tell the story. So in a way, it's a way for me to kind of to personalize it in a way. So it is a pretty interesting platforms. And now that
incredible
YouTube,
content.
Yeah, and YouTube's become the biggest. And I only had I had a few followers. I didn't have much, but now I'm going to be able to put these things out there for the fans, because this is a legacy.
But yeah,
so there you go.
Definitely, like the YouTube is great, but guys, definitely check out the Patreon. It's definitely more of the like individualized personal touch in the Patreon. You get such like a deep like look at all these different stories and stuff. So absolutely, everybody check that out. It's The Maker is the name of it on Patreon. So but yes, Roger, appreciate you so much. Glad to have you on.
Not at all. Glad to be here.
Hopefully we get to see plenty more from you and anything, not just lightsabers, anything. Just keep making the stuff. We'll be gladly there to support you.
Thank you. I will.
Right. Take care, and you have a great rest of your day. And
thanks
we'll
very
be speaking
much.
again sometime, I promise.
Thank you.
So I guess I should do all that over again then, shouldn't I? I wish I could say that if you like to hear a host get completely muted sometimes for a bit and continue talking, check out my show on Fanatics. I do that a lot on there too. You'd think I learned by now. But anyways, what I was saying was I appreciate y'all for showing up tonight and watching the show with me. Check out Roger's Patreon. Check out his YouTube and his Instagram. It's Roger J. Christian. He has great stories on all of them. Patreon's going to have the best stuff. A lot of things from the book, directly from the book. He's just telling the stories right out there for you. And then check out his lightsaber. Such an amazing thing that he designed. The fact that it came from his brain. When he told the story about the fact that the handle is glowing because he's bleeding the Kyber crystal into the handle, that is an incredible design choice. You just don't really see things like that in lightsabers, and I love that. So I appreciate him for coming on and doing the interview and everything, and doing it for you guys too, because he absolutely loves all of his fans. So he's happy to do this kind of stuff. But yeah, again, Roger Christian, check out all his stuff. He's the coolest dude ever. Theory Sabers, check out their stuff as well. Check out The Father, one of the coolest custom lightsabers ever made. And then check me out on Fanatics every morning, usually 8 to 4. And I appreciate you guys. You guys are the coolest. And I will be seeing you guys next month. Like I said, my guest next month will be Ryan Finley, Topps card artist. Does a lot of cool stuff for Stranger Things, does cool stuff for Star Wars, Marvel. He does all the nerdy card aspects. So yeah, he'll be on. He'll be talking about some stuff he's going to be doing in Cleveland Fan Expo that he'll be at next month. So appreciate you guys. Take her easy, and may the Force be with you guys. Later.